A huge reason why life is continually messy all the time is because we tend to always come face to face with another obstacle that we have to overcome. Another obstacle, another obstacle, another obstacle, and this continuous cycle just tends to just perpetuate itself. Why is this the case? And what is the purpose, you may be asking? And am I the only one that is enduring this situation, these series of circumstances? I am here to tell you and remind you that that is an emphatic no. You see, when life is messy, tends to be a major contributing factor and a major part of being a human, just living life, is overcoming obstacles. I don't care how old you are, whether you're rich or poor, what state you live in, whatever demographic you associate yourself with. If you are breathing, if you have blood in your veins, you will continually have to overcome obstacles. Is there a secret sauce? Is there a key that unlocks that secret? I wish I knew. The simple answer is no. So, as always, my objective is to not only be a source of hope for you and hopefully just a reliable shoulder to lean on and empathize with you, but I don't want to do that in a generic fashion. I want to do that with really specific examples so that you know that I'm also a human and I also have to learn through personal experiences myself in order to walk that same road that you are walking as well. So I was thinking about different obstacles in my life that I've had to overcome. And recently in my last video, you should go check it out, just talking about the complications in life. And I really started that journey with the medical complications that I've had to face and endure. And here's what I've noticed, and you may be able to empathize and really relate to this as well, that the strings of those different obstacles that you've had to overcome, much like spaghetti, it all runs together and they're all connected. Here's a perfect example from my personal experience in life and having to overcome those circumstances. Okay, so I've had, long story short, you can go check out the other video for more details, but long story short, I had complications at birth and had a stroke at birth, which caused me to have seizures up until age 12. And what did that look like? How did that affect me going to school, right? Just being a normal kid in public school, learning differently, learning at a different pace, taking longer to take tests, final exams, having to have what we now call an IEP. Hey, you have the ability or the privilege to take your tests in a secondary location like the library, and instead of 30 minutes, you get an hour, so on and so forth. I'm sure we can all kind of relate to those real life situations. So here's where I'm getting at. So a very specific incidence. You know how you have the parent-teacher meetings midway through the year, maybe December or May or what have you. Any point, whether it's the quarter system or the semester system, frequently you have the PTA meetings. So This is back in middle school, probably 6th or 7th grade. I will never forget this. But the teacher, myself, and a parent, my mom, we were in this meeting, and I don't remember exactly the reason for the meeting or the agenda or the talking points, how long the meeting lasted. 20 plus years later, I now remember this one comment, and I can remember the teacher's name. But she said something along these lines to this effect. She was kind of making the case, making the point that what takes a normal, what is normal, right? But what takes a normal student, we'll just say 30 minutes, it takes me an hour. What takes a normal student an hour to complete, it takes me 2 hours to complete. Here's what she said that, like I said, 20 years later, I still remember it. It was that profound. Even as a young preteen or teenager, just in those formative years, which is another aspect that we talked about in the other video. She said this: it takes normal students 4 years to graduate high school. We all know this. She said something to the effect of that it will take me roughly 8 years to complete high school. So double the amount of time as a normal student. Now, I don't even remember exactly how my parent responded to that. But what that did to me, you would think it would be discouraging, you would think it would be disheartening, but for some reason, it actually lit a fire within me. It built resilience within me. And it actually gave me an edge, academically speaking, because from that point forward, I was on a scorched earth mentality to prove her wrong. Now, I'm not saying she was mean or she was not qualified to make those comments, but I'm just saying that the way that I responded was actually a catalyst in propelling me to my success. And what originated as a negative thing actually resulted in me not only accomplishing the first goal, which was graduating high school in a regular allotted amount of time. And this is not for me to brag, say how awesome I am. This is just to prove an example based on this specific circumstance. High school, graduated like normal, check. Went on to undergrad, graduated with a bachelor's in 4 years, check. Went on to earn a master's degree in 4 years, check. I'm gonna pause here in terms of I'm not going to get into my postgraduate after graduation and what kind of job field I got into. That'll be for next time. But what am I getting at? Even as a young child, you'd be surprised by how many things we actually pick up and how many things that actually stick with us. You never know. Like, that teacher has no idea 20 plus years down the road that she had that impact. And she probably has no idea how successful academically I was, etc., etc. And again, that's not to brag, that's just to give a practical application to this example. Here's my point. Every one of you have one of those moments, those monumental mile markers in your life that at the time was disheartening, it was discouraging, and even if you were young, like I was, like in middle school, and you couldn't really articulate for yourself, or you couldn't really speak on your own behalf, but maybe your parent or grandparent was there to really state your case for you. You still, we all have those moments that 20 plus years later, we still remember vividly, very crystal clearly. And in some way, just like the example that I used, it had a tremendous impact on your life, and it really did set the trajectory on which path you took, maybe educationally, maybe professionally. Just fill in the blank for yourself. Here's my point, here's my message to you. Don't get discouraged. Make it an effort to take something that's negative and to make it a positive. All right. Now I'm going to give you another example just because I don't know about the way you are wired, but this is the way I'm wired too. I'm see things in a narrative format. And so I'm going to give you another example. So whether or not your religious beliefs, I'm not going to get into that. However, there is a very, very interesting and inspirational story in the book of Genesis about a guy named Joseph. And at age 17, he gets, again, you can go check it out for yourself. Genesis is 50 chapters long, and the book of Joseph, or not the book of Joseph, but the story of Joseph, the narrative of Joseph, really takes up about a third of that entire book. It takes up a lot of it. But here's the point. I'm going to do a condensed version as best as I can. So at age 17, he gets basically thrown under the bus by his brothers. His brothers are super jealous of him. And so he gets, they're like, leave him for dead, and lied to their dad saying, hey, we brought back his jacket and here's blood on it. So to prove that he's dead. And they're really just jerks about it, right? And so he gets sold into slavery in Egypt, and so he gets ownership. I'm not going to get into all of the way the culture was back then. I could, but I'm not. He ends up working for this guy named Potiphar for a number of years, and then he gets accused of something that he did not do from Potiphar's wife, and the perception of that lands him in jail for a little bit. And again, something he did not ask for, but yet here he is, bad to worse to even more worse situations. And ultimately, and you can go read it for yourself, but ultimately he gets out of jail. He gets in favor with the Pharaoh at the time of Egypt, and they become friends. He sees value in his relationship and character, the Pharaoh, that is, with Joseph, and they develop this friendship, this relationship, and he ends up being put second in command, pretty much like the vice president of Egypt at that time. And the story goes on, but I'm not going to go on more detail. My point is, much like my example and Joseph's example in the book of Genesis, are very similar in the fact that they both start out very negatively, but through a series of obstacles that have to be overcome, it becomes a positive. And there's this great famous line at the end of Genesis where actually the same brothers that threw him really in a well, left him for dead, brought the jacket that was bloody to their dad. We're talking 20 plus, 25 years later, they come back because there's basically a drought, a famine in the land, and Egypt is the only place that has food. Who is in charge of allocating food, rations? You guessed it, Joseph. Now, at that moment, he had a choice. He could say, you know what? It's time to take my revenge. Sorry, you treated me like that, so you made your decision, so you got to live with it. He chose the second option. He chose to forgive. He chose to reconcile that relationship. And the famous quote, the famous line, it goes along these lines here. What you meant for evil, God meant and turned it into something good. Let that be your story. Don't give up. Keep on pressing on. Keep a open mind and a broad perspective. Take a deep breath. Reflect on your own circumstances and see the good in it. I know it's when you're in the middle of a storm, you can't see anything. I've been there. But what happens after a storm, right? Typically, the sun comes back out and you can see so clearly. So hang on. There is hope for you. Hey, and if this content really did speak to you in just a unique fashion and in a unique way in your life situation right now, man, I would love if you would just hit that like and subscribe button down below. Be sure to hit that the notification bell as well. That way, whenever new videos that I post come up, you get dinged so you can check out the next one.